Hey everybody, so this is the group, the combined wolf packs, getting ready to move back to Alaska.
They were the family that promised a life free from society's rules, captivating millions with their off-grid dream. The Browns of Alaskan bush people introduced us to a world of grit, family, and survival in the wild. But behind the romance of their rugged life, a much darker story was taking shape, one filled with shocking loss, legal battles, and personal demons the cameras didn't always show. What happens when the patriarch of the wolf pack is gone? And who has swapped the freedom of the wilderness for the cold reality of a jail cell? The answers are more tragic and complicated than you might think. For more than a decade, Discovery Channel's Alaskan Bush People has been a reality TV obsession, pulling viewers into the strange and fascinating world of the Brown family. Led by the charismatic dreamer, Billy Brown, and his wife, Ami, the family and their 7 kids set out to live a life of total self-sufficiency. They were the Wolf Pack, a tight-knit clan that depended on one another to survive the harsh landscapes of Alaska and, later, Washington. The show's idea was simple but powerful: follow a family living so far off-grid they were practically a year behind the rest of us. They built their own shelters, hunted their own food, and faced down the challenges of a life without modern comforts. We were hooked by their unique way of talking, their powerful family bond, and their relentless drive to make Billy's dream of total freedom a reality. But as the years passed, the line between TV and real life started to get blurry. The family faced accusations that their life wasn't as authentic as it seemed on screen. On top of that, the real-life struggles every family faces began to bubble to the surface, made even more intense by the constant glare of the cameras. Health problems, arguments, and personal struggles couldn't always be left on the cutting room floor. Then, the unthinkable happened. The heart of the wolf pack gave out. Billy Brown's death in 2021 sent shockwaves through the family, leaving them without their leader and forcing them to face a world of grief and uncertainty. In the years since, the Browns have been hit with one trial after another, from tragic deaths in their extended family to serious legal problems and public fights with addiction. This is the story of where the Alaskan Bush People cast stands in 2025. We'll look at everyone, from the matriarch Ami to all 7 kids and their own growing families. We'll uncover the heartbreaking stories behind the deaths that have shaken them and reveal the truth about which cast members have actually faced jail time. The Brown family's story is no longer just about surviving the wilderness, it's about surviving tragedy and public scrutiny. Any story about the Browns' recent struggles has to start with the loss of their leader, Billy Brown. For 12 seasons, Billy was the sun the entire Brown family orbited around. He was the visionary, the storyteller, and the driving force behind their off-grid life. His dream was the foundation of Alaskan Bush People. But for years, Billy was fighting a private health battle. Fans knew Billy had health problems. He'd been in the hospital for breathing issues and had trouble with his kidneys. His seizures were a constant worry, especially in the remote places he called home. In 2019, things got more serious when it was clear his breathing problems were tied to a weakening heart. Doctors warned him that the high altitude of their Washington ranch was a danger to his health, but Billy was set on living out his days on the mountain. On February 7, 2021, the Brown family's world fell apart. Billy Brown, at 68 years old, suffered a fatal seizure at their home, North Star Ranch. His son, Bear, shared the news, writing, "We are heartbroken to announce that our beloved patriarch Billy Brown passed away last night. He was our best friend, a wonderful and loving dad, granddad and husband, and he will be dearly missed." The cameras were rolling at the time, and the frantic 911 call from his son Gabe was later aired, giving viewers a raw look at the family's grief. Discovery, the network that made the Browns famous, mourned him as a trailblazer and a lovely man. His death wasn't just the loss of a TV star, it was the loss of the family's anchor. The man who led them into the wild was gone. In the aftermath, the family chose to have him cremated, a private decision for a family that had lived so much of their life in public. Billy's death left a huge hole in the family and the show. For so long, everything was driven by his vision. Now, Ami and their 7 kids had to figure out how to pick up the pieces and carry on without him. The years that followed would test the very resilience he had tried to teach them. Holding the wolf pack together after Billy's death is the matriarch, Ami Brown. Her life has been a story of incredible strength, marked by a public and terrifying battle with cancer and the weight of managing her family's future. Back in 2017, after months of feeling unwell, Ami was diagnosed with advanced stage 3 lung cancer. The outlook was bleak. Doctors said she had only a 3% chance of survival. The diagnosis turned the family's life upside down. They had to leave their isolated Alaskan home and move to Washington state to be closer to the California hospitals where Ami would get treatment. Alaskan Bush People * documented Ami's grueling fight. Viewers watched her go through intense chemotherapy and radiation. The family was shaken, a stark reminder that their off-grid life couldn't protect them from everything. Against all odds, Ami's strength pulled her through. By early 2018, she announced she was in remission, a moment of relief for her family and fans, but her health scares weren't over. In March 2024, she was hospitalized for a bad case of pneumonia. Then, in February 2025, she had another medical emergency. Her kids, Bear and Snowbird, told fans Ami was rushed to the hospital with chest pains and trouble breathing. Her condition got worse, and she had to be flown to a larger hospital, where she was diagnosed with pneumonia again. To help her lungs heal, she was placed in a medically induced coma with a breathing tube. The family shared emotional updates. A tearful Snowbird said, "Basically, her lungs are really bad." For a family still grieving Billy, the thought of losing their mother was almost too much to bear. But Ami once again showed her incredible fight. After a few tense days, she was taken off the breathing tube and was eventually able to go home. As of mid-2025, her kids report she is doing well and getting stronger. On top of her health battles, Ami has been dealing with legal trouble since Billy's death. As the person in charge of his estate, she's been caught up in a lawsuit from a writer who claims Billy broke a contract related to his books. This has only added more stress as she tries to keep Billy's dream for North Star Ranch alive. Through it all, Ami remains the resilient heart of the family, a symbol of strength against all odds. The story of Matt Brown, the oldest sibling, is one of the most complicated in the Alaskan Bush People saga. For years, he was the funny, inventive big brother, a fan favorite who was key to the family's survival. But behind the scenes, Matt was fighting a deep battle with substance abuse that would eventually drive him from his family and the show. Matt's struggle with alcohol first went public when he entered rehab in 2016. He came back to the show, but the pressure of filming led to a relapse. In 2018, he went to rehab for a second time. It was during this time that his life took a dark turn. While Matt was in California, 2 women from the show's production team accused him of sexual assault. The allegations, from 2018, were reported to the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office. In the end, no formal charges were filed because of a lack of evidence, but the damage was done. Matt's contract wasn't renewed, and by mid-2019, he had vanished from Alaskan Bush People. His exit from the show came as the rift with his family grew wider. Matt has claimed that the show's production made his problems worse and has even alleged that he was supplied with drugs. The estrangement was painfully clear when he didn't attend his father Billy's funeral in 2021. Today, Matt Brown lives a quiet life in Loomis, Washington, not far from the family ranch, but he keeps his distance. He's focused on his sobriety, sharing his recovery journey on social media and working on a local farm. He makes videos about his life, his skills in the wilderness, and his ongoing fight for sobriety. In his posts, he's hinted at the pain of his family's situation, saying in early 2025 that some relationships may never heal. Fans often hope he'll return to the show. But Matt seems to have no plans to go back, choosing instead to rebuild his life one day at a time, far from the chaos of his past. Joshua Brown, better known as Bam Bam, has always been the logical and level-headed one in the wolf pack. As the second oldest son, he was often the voice of reason, the careful planner who balanced out his more impulsive siblings. For a while, Bam Bam stepped away from the show in 2017 to focus on his relationship with Alaskan, a former producer. It was a clear sign that he wanted more privacy than reality TV could offer, but after his father's death, Bam Bam stepped back into a more central role, helping his mom and siblings manage the family's affairs and continue the work on North Star Ranch. His life, however, hasn't been without its own trauma. In May 2022, Bam Bam was involved in a horrific and fatal car accident in Washington. According to the official police report, another car crossed the center line and drove into his lane. Bam swerved his truck to avoid it but couldn't prevent a collision. Tragically, a 24-year-old woman in the other car died at the scene. Bam Bam was taken to the hospital with minor injuries and released. The investigation concluded that Bam Bam was not at fault for the accident, and he faced no criminal charges. The accident was undoubtedly a traumatic experience for the usually stoic Brown son. In the time since, he has kept a low profile, which fits his personality. As of 2025, he's reportedly very involved in beekeeping and continues to be a pillar of support for his family, especially his mother, Ami. His presence has been a stabilizing force during a time of incredible chaos, proving once again his role as the steady hand of the Brown clan. Solomon Bear Brown has always been the most extreme member of the family. His wild energy, his howls, and his habit of climbing trees and running through the woods made him unforgettable. He called himself the King of Extreme. But his life off-camera has been just as wild, marked by a rocky relationship and a serious run-in with the law. Bear's personal life has been a public roller coaster, mostly because of his on-again, off-again relationship with his now wife, Raven Adams. They have 3 sons together, River, Cove, and Everest. Their relationship has been full of breakups, makeups, and social media drama. Things took a serious turn in March 2022, when Bear was arrested for 4th-degree domestic violence assault after a fight with Raven. He spent the weekend in the Okanagan County Jail before being released. Police noted there were no drugs or alcohol in his system at the time. It was a serious legal issue that cast a dark shadow on his fun-loving image. In April 2022, Bear accepted a plea deal, and the family has tried to move on. Despite the arrest, Bear and Raven have continued their pattern of breaking up and getting back together, announcing their most recent split in April 2025. They've said they plan to co-parent their children. As of 2025, there are no credible reports that Bear Brown is in jail. He has handled his legal issues and is a free man. He continues to post on social media, sharing updates about his life, his kids, and his adventures in Washington. Still the King of Extreme, but with a much more complicated backstory. While some of their siblings have been in the spotlight for their struggles, Gabe and Noah Brown have mostly focused on building their own families, though not entirely without drama. Gabriel, Gabe Brown, the 4th son, is known for his artistic and sensitive side. He married Raquel Rose, and the couple has been busy raising their own branch of the Brown family tree. Gabe has dedicated himself to family life and has also started a career in construction, using the skills he learned building off-grid homes. While he's on social media, his main focus seems to be on creating a stable life for his wife and kids, away from the more intense drama that follows his family. Noah Brown, the youngest son, has always been the family's inventor. His knack for creating clever gadgets to make off-grid life easier was a highlight of the show. Noah married Rain Alicia, and they have 2 sons, Elijah and Adam. True to form, Noah and his family continue to live a self-sufficient lifestyle, and he often posts about their family adventures and projects, but even Noah's quiet life hasn't been completely free of conflict. In April 2025, a dramatic incident brought unwanted attention to the family. Noah reportedly called the police to ask for a welfare check on his mother, Ami, and youngest sister, Rain, expressing concern they might be involved with drugs. Authorities found nothing wrong, but the call hinted at some serious stress and tension within the family as they continue to cope with life after Billy. Despite that, both Gabe and Noah appear to be devoted fathers and husbands. As of 2025, neither Gabe nor Noah Brown is in jail or facing any known legal charges. They are the next generation of the Brown family, raising their children with the same values of resilience they learned in the wild. The two Brown daughters, Snowbird and Rain, have grown up in the shadow of their 5 older brothers, each finding her own way. Both have faced their own challenges, from serious health scares to the emotional weight of their family's story. Amora, Snowbird Brown is the older sister and the family's animal whisperer. Her deep love for all creatures has been part of her identity since she was a little girl. But Bird's life hasn't been easy. In 2022, she had a major health crisis after suffering from severe pain in her abdomen. Doctors found 2 huge tumors on her ovaries, one weighing 8 pounds and the other 4. She needed urgent surgery to remove them. The family was relieved to hear the tumors weren't cancerous, but doctors warned her they could come back. The experience was terrifying, but Snowbird faced it with her usual quiet strength. As of 2025, she is reportedly recovered but still has to go for regular checkups. She continues to live a quiet life on the ranch, focusing on her animals. Merry Christmas. Catherine Rain Brown, the youngest of the siblings, has literally grown up on camera. As the baby of the family, she has always been close to her parents and siblings. Since her father's death, Rain has stepped up, often acting as a support system for her mother, Ami. She's very active on social media, where she talks about positivity and her love for her family. She's been open about her own struggles with grief and the pressures of her public life. The April 2025 incident, where her brother Noah called the police on her and her mother, was undoubtedly a stressful event. However, with authorities finding no cause for concern, Rain has continued to project a resilient image online. As of 2025, neither Snowbird nor Rain Brown are in jail or have any known legal issues. They are 2 young women who have faced incredible storms and are now working to build their own futures. The heartache for the Brown family doesn't stop with the main cast. In recent years, Ami Brown has suffered a string of devastating losses in her own extended family, adding to the grief she was already carrying. In May 2020, less than a year before Billy died, Ami's niece, Amber Branson, died tragically at the age of 44. Amber, who had appeared on the show in earlier seasons, was the daughter of Ami's brother. She died from severe injuries after a house fire in Texas. It was later revealed that her injuries were believed to be self-inflicted after a long struggle with mental health. The sorrow didn't end there. In a heartbreaking turn, tragedy struck again just a few years later. In January 2024, Amber's daughter, Danelle Branson, Ami Brown's great-niece, also passed away at only 29 years old. The suspected cause of her death was suicide. Her obituary remembered her as a creative soul who loved writing poetry and spending time with her children. These back-to-back losses have cast a long shadow over the Brown family. To lose her niece and then her great-niece in such tragic ways, all while dealing with her own health and the death of her husband, is an unimaginable amount of pain for Ami. Adding to the sorrow, Ami's brother, Renee Branson, Amber's father, also passed away in 2020 from kidney cancer. As of 2025, there are no reports of any extended family members being in jail. The story of the Branson family is not one of crime, but one of deep and repeated tragedy, a painful reminder of the real-life struggles that happen far from the reality TV cameras. The saga of the Brown family has turned from a simple story of wilderness life into a heartbreaking epic of real-world struggle. When we first met the wolf pack, we were drawn into a fantasy of freedom. But as we've seen, no family can escape the universal trials of loss, sickness, and conflict. So, as of 2025, where do things stand? The most significant death to hit the cast was, without a doubt, the patriarch, Billy Brown, whose passing in 2021 left a hole that can never be filled. His dream lives on, but now his wife and kids are the ones leading the way. The family has also been shaken by the tragic deaths of Ami's niece, Amber Branson, in 2020, and her great-niece, Danelle Branson, in 2024. As for the question of who's in jail, it's clear that despite some serious legal troubles, no main cast member of Alaskan Bush People is in jail in 2025. Bear Brown's domestic violence charge in 2022 was resolved with a plea deal. Bam Bam Brown's involvement in a fatal car accident was a tragedy, but he was found not to be at fault and faced no charges. And Matt Brown, despite serious allegations that ended his TV career, was never formally charged. What's left is a family that has been forever changed. Ami Brown, the tough-as-nails matriarch, continues her health battle while carrying the weight of her husband's legacy. Her children are finding their own ways, raising families, and dealing with the pressures of their public lives. Matt is still the estranged son, on a solitary path to recovery. The others, while facing their own demons, remain a unit, bound together by a one-of-a-kind history. The story of the Alaskan Bush People isn't just about building a home in the wild anymore. It's about rebuilding a family after tragedy. It's a story of survival, not against nature, but against grief, illness, and the lasting effects of a life lived in the spotlight. The wolf pack, though bruised and broken, is still standing. What are your thoughts on the Brown family's journey? Do you think the show can go on without its patriarch? Let us know in the comments. And for more deep dives into the real stories behind your favorite reality shows, be sure to like this video and subscribe. Thanks for watching.